And welcome back to another edition of Completely Unoriginal right here at DakotaBroadcasting.com. I'm Adam St. Paul, joined by Kurt Campbell and Tony Zur down in Redfield as always. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Doing good, man.
I'm doing quite well, thank you.
Wow. Both, Tony decided to yell and Kurt decided to do an accent.
I did,
We
yes.
must be doing well today. So, got a great show for you lined up. For those of you who don't know or tuning in for the first time, this is your source for everything nerd here at DakotaBroadcasting.com. Three movie lovers along with everything else that goes along with nerd culture, I think. And we got some topics to talk about today. I think, I guess, Tony, you brought up one topic, in quote, Die Hard 7, as you put it, and I want to talk about the new Warcraft trailer, which was just released. Which one do you want to tackle first?
We'll look at Warcraft.
Okay, because Kurt had some opinions on this too, and basically this is what I want to bring up. I never played World of Warcraft, never did, so just get or Warcraft for that matter, just throwing that out there.
Right.
But what I do know about it is obviously it is a video game or a computer game, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
It is going to be Hollywood's attempt to make a Warcraft film. I know nothing about the TV series, and that is besides the point. Or know nothing about the video game, but that's kind of besides the point. The point I wanted to bring up is the trailer looked fine, good for them, whatever. I got a feeling it's going to suck because Hollywood, for some reason, cannot do video games. And we're going to start off with Tony, simply because you made a Tubes Review trailer on your YouTube channel about this specifically, and you kind of had my take a little bit where you just don't know because you didn't play.
Well, my wife put it. I had my wife watch it just because I thought it was ridiculous. I needed somebody else to tell me it was ridiculous, because I don't know Warcraft either. But my wife put it really, really naturally. She was like, they look like Hulk mutant ninja Poombas. And that's exactly what those dudes look like. They look like just like a trifecta of different things and stuff like that. That the Ninja Turtles from the new Michael Bay produced stuff, as well as like Pumbaa from like the Lion King and the Incredible Hulk, because they're just jacked up and stuff. So I don't know. They just and I'm a sucker for practical effects. And I really like it when movies go out of their way to use as little CGI as humanly possible. And I understand this movie is huge, and they want to make it huge, and so they're doing a lot of CGI with it. And it looks like Avatar, just kind of different,
Kurt, go ahead.
Okay,
because you were shaking your head.
Yeah, here's the thing. That's a really snarky way to talk about orcs, first of all. Shame on you. No, I understand they don't look like Tolkien orcs from Middle Earth from the Lord of the Rings films, but they're not supposed to be. I have played the games. I've played all of them going back to when I played the original Warcraft on CD-ROM. You kids remember that technology?
Yeah.
I do.
When it was a point-and-click, a real-time strategy game. Basically, you build structures and build your army to fight to whoever you're up against, whether you're playing the humans or the orcs. And the breakdown of the story is it's the first real contact and conflict between humanity and these orcish creatures. That's the basic story setup, is how it's dealt with, the conflict it leads up to. And now I agree with you that there are reasons to be skeptical. I will say that, because I'm not going to fanboy out just because I played the video games. I really would like more practical effects, no question about it. I understand why some of them they maybe didn't do that way. But I also need to add in, this film is being directed by Duncan Jones, the man who made Moon, the man who made Source Code. He's a talented director, son of the late David Bowie, in case folks don't know.
I did not know that.
Yep, that's David Bowie's son. And he has been working on this film for 3 years or so. He has been immersed in the lore, and you don't have to play the games to get the basic premise. Humans versus orcs, how do they conflict? How do they have common ground, or are they just going to have to try and kill each other? There's a lot of dramatic tension there. Now, I'm sure there's fan service. Like, for instance, there's a scene in the trailer where they're flying over this big stone city, and that's a city called Stormwind, which people who play World of Warcraft will recognize. But if you don't, it's just, oh, cool, a big stone city. And there are characters from the games that they've sprinkled in that are legendary in the lore, but you don't have to have played the games because you don't need to know who they are. That's what the movie's going to do. So, I am not as skeptical as you guys, although I do have reasons to be concerned. And here's the reason Hollywood, since we got on the subject of why movies don't work, video game movies. No, here's the thing. Too many Hollywood producers think, we'll just put in action like in the video game and it'll work perfectly. It doesn't work that way. A video game is a long, drawn-out experience. A movie is a much more finite, shorter experience. Why, just use the characters and the lore from the game to help build a story. That's all you have to do to make a successful video game movie. No one's done it yet, but I have a feeling this will be different. And I may fall flat on my face with this prediction. I think it's going to be pretty good. There you go.
I don't know, man. That guy, there's that scene in the trailer where he's like, whatever you're going to do it now. And I don't know, there's just a couple different scenes in there that looks like he's just going to Taylor Kitsch all over the place. And it's just not going to work. I just don't think that lead character is going to work.
You can't say that until you see it.
I know, but
you can't say that until you see it.
I know, but the trailers they need to re-edit the trailers then and put in some non-hokey lines.
Well, you find hokey lines in every big. Look at the superhero movie trailers.
I'm not a big fan of the superhero movie trailer.
Well, I'm just saying, but the movies work, but they still throw in hokey lines.
What I will say, and this is kind of going back, I'm not going to talk so much on Warcraft because, like I said, don't know a lot about it, trailers, whatever, and I'm just not super interested in the movie. But now that you mentioned Duncan Jones is at the helm, I didn't know that, and that is kind of exciting. Basically, my whole point that I wanted to talk about, though, was video game movies in general. And Kurt, you say that it's the producer's fault, and
the screenwriter.
I agree with that to an extent, and hear me out here. And Tony, feel free to chime in when I'm done with my little spiel here. I think one of the biggest problems goes back to studios hiring the wrong people to create these movies. You look at the movies which have been released based on video games since 1993. You got the Super Mario Brothers, you got the Double Dragon movie, you got the Street Fighter movie, you got Mortal Kombat, you got Wing Commander, Tomb Raider, Final Fantasy, the Resident Evil films, and then the just slew of trash that is UA Bowl video game movies. Too many to name at this point. But my point is, you look at these productions. Super Mario Brothers is notorious for having a husband-wife duo who wanted to basically make a movie all for themselves, a very steam cyberpunk film that would have hookers and blow, and it's supposed to, in a Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Mario is a tough story to adapt for a film. You know what I mean? Like the basic story of Mario. He's a plumber who tries to save a princess and jumps on turtles and eats mushrooms. It's strange, so it's hard to adapt to begin with. Street Fighter is another case where the director could not handle the cast. People were coked up, and Raul Julia showed up basically dying of cancer, which is sad, but that is the truth there. Mortal Kombat was directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. There you go. Wing Commander was directed by a video game developer, not a movie maker. He has no other credits to his name. Same goes for Final Fantasy. The Spirits Within was directed by a game developer, not by a movie director. The Resident Evil series, again, Paul W.S. Anderson. And then we go down to UA Bowl, which we all know is just trash. You gotta get someone in there who actually has a desire to create these video games and do it faithfully yet intelligently, which is something we haven't had.
I have to say that the first two Resident Evil movies weren't too bad. The first two ones weren't too bad. And then Alice all of a sudden realized that she was like super mutant Alice, and then all of a sudden they got really, really terrible. But first two Resident Evil movies were watchable.
Another thing, too, also, you look at the Hitman films. The first Hitman was critically panned. What does the studio do? They go with a different director, but they hired the exact same screenwriter to write the new Hitman Agent 47 film, which was even worse, at least when it comes to critically reviews than that. And that one, they actually had some talent behind it. Timothy Olyphant played the agent in the original one, so, that had something going for it as well. Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time. Granted, they whitewashed the cast by hiring Jake Gyllenhaal to play a Persian man. That's besides the point. But that's Disney, and they still couldn't do it right. Well, I don't know.
That's just a really generic adventure film, unfortunately. That's what it's got a few neat effects, and it's not terrible, but it's like, why? They didn't need to make it.
Perhaps the studio is getting the message, I guess, because if you look at some of the films based on video games coming up. They include Warcraft, directed by Duncan Jones, who Moon is a great movie. If you haven't seen Moon, it is very good. It stars Sam Rockwell and also, what's his name?
It's escaping me.
Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey, thank you.
But
yes.
Rockwell just knocks it out of the park in that movie.
Also coming out later on, Assassin's Creed, which is starring Michael Fassbender. So that is, I mean, there's some talent behind it. Not there hasn't been talent in video game movies before, but I mean, Michael Fassbender's completely legit.
Well,
So.
and again, some properties, some IPs lend themselves better to a cinematic setting. The Assassin's Creed is the story, essentially, of the Assassins versus the Crusaders. Or the Templars, to be more specific. So you've got conflict, and you've got someone who's who's an assassin working against the evil Templars, and you can build a story around that. Just like with Warcraft, you've got orcs, you got humans, you got conflict. You can build a story.
Quit trying to sell us a Warcraft.
You should see it. Did I mention you should see it? And no.
Well,
go ahead.
Okay. So I have a buddy who is. He has been playing Warcraft since 2000, I think is when he said he started, and he watched the trailer with me, and he said it just looks like a lot of different aspects of the world just kind of mashed all together and stuff like that, and I had a little bit of criticism about that at first, but now that you kind of made that point, Kurt, that just take the basic concepts of the story and build something different around it. I mean, it honestly kind of sells me a tiny bit more on the movie, plus the whole director aspect of it.
See,
I don't know,
when you've got that much talent behind it and that much effort, all you can do is hope that the studios didn't meddle and say you need more of this or less of this, and they let the creative people be creative to either fail or succeed on their own. So I don't know. You've got fan service because people who play the games know the characters and know the settings. People who don't, it'll just wash right over them as part of the movie. But the fans will be like, "Oh, you make that noise. Oh, that thing that I like."
I disagree that the first two Resident Evil movies are watchable.
The first one was almost watchable, and I love Mila Jovovich. Don't get me wrong; I have had a crush on her for years, but
that's not that's a debate for another time.
Yeah, is Mila hot? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that's over. We win.
So next up, I think Tony, you wanted to talk also about the recent trailer drop for an upcoming movie, which you have. I think, tongue-in-cheekly titled Die Hard 7. Tell us more about it.
Well, I just think that Olympus Has Fallen should have been Die Hard 6. Actually, they should have just never made the Jai Courtney film, and they should have spun it off as to, John McClane's really good at saving people, it seems, so we're going to put him in charge of the president now.
Well, you know what they could have done, because I literally thought that this is like Die Hard in the White House, the original Olympus Has Fallen, and I made the hackney comment that, it's Die Hard in the White House. They could have done is, and this would have been more in line with the character, John McClane is taking a White House tour, and then it gets taken over, and he has to then try to save everyone. And then he's in there by himself, he's behind enemy lines, and he's got to, do everything by himself. I think it would be a perfect setup for another Die Hard movie.
Or he's just going to meet the president because he's John McClane.
That's fine, too.
And he can't die. He dies hard.
I recommend to you, by the way, if you've never seen the Ben Stiller show sketch, Die Hard, the sequel where Ben Stiller plays the role. He's in a grocery store that's attacked by terrorists and has to fight his way out with basically the groceries and things in the store. And it's got the line, "How can the same thing keep happening to the same guy so many times?"
I saw the trailer as well. I saw Olympus Has Fallen, the original. London Has Fallen clearly looks like a much bigger scale, and then Gerard Butler's the only one that can save him again.
Wait, how did you get there from ancient Greece?
I know exactly, but the thing is, Olympus Has Fallen was certainly not a great piece of filmmaking. It was fine. They at least had the balls to give the enemy an actual and what's the term I'm looking for here? A ethnicity. North
yeah.
Korean.
Yeah.
Nowadays, back in the 80s, it was the Russians every time.
Yeah.
That's fine. Or the Chinese. They're good.
Or Germans. Or Germans.
Yeah, they were willing to go that route. Now that the international box office is so prevalent, they're not willing. In that White House Down flop, it was James Woods as the bad guy, and he was generic white senator looking because he was like crazy. You know what I mean? It's just boring. So at least they had the gall to do that, even though in North Korea, that's a pretty easy bear to poke because they're not going to see the movie. So.
No.
But anyway, and after that, that was fine. I saw it, and I guess I didn't not enjoy myself. Move on. This is just like the Taken franchise here. They make one film, it's successful. Well, let's make another one. And that clearly doesn't deserve or need or should have a sequel. But people love money, so they're going to go through with it.
Well, and Gerard Butler's, his American accent is just terrible. It's just terrible.
It really is.
It's pretty bad.
And so, I'm just... I thought that Olympus Has Fallen was a good action flick. So many action flicks these days, they try to do this or do that and try to do something new and everything. But it was just a good, 80s action flick that came out a couple years ago.
Could have been a canon film.
Exactly.
You hit the nail on the head, Kurt, for real.
And I just think, honestly, that story would have been perfect if it was John McClane. And so now it's just like, well, it's the next Die Hard movie. Okay, I guess let's watch it and see if it's a decent '80s Die Hard movie.
But what do you feel about the sequel now, though?
That's what I mean.
Okay.
I'll watch it because the first one was a decent '80s knockoff action movie. Let's see if this one can do the same. I mean, it's not. It's definitely something that when I first saw the trailer, I'm like, what? All right, but. Honestly, the last one wasn't half bad for an '80s blood fest. So let's see what they can do in London now. What the hell, so,
Kurt, you hit that. You really did hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, it could have been a Golden Globus production.
Yes, exactly. It is a canon film. Absolutely. I watched one recently, Invasion USA with Chuck Norris.
That's terrible.
It is so bad, and they try to give Say what you will about Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't believe he is an actor. He is a movie star. There's a difference. And he is terrible at acting and whatnot, but what he can do is deliver one-liners. Maybe it's just because of the accent. I think there's a real talent involved. Please don't wake my friend. He's dead tired.
He's got presence.
He's got. Why don't you let off some steam, Bennett? They're dumb and everything like that, but I enjoyed listening to them. They try to give Chuck Norris one-liners in these movies, and he can't do them for anything.
He's an amazing physical performer when it comes to martial arts. He has no personality on screen.
None whatsoever.
None. He is a limp fish on screen.
That is true.
Any
Walker
thoughts?
says I have AIDS.
Oh, God. Conan O'Brien owns the rights to that clip. Or it must have been NBC at the time.
Yeah.
But.
Oh, man.
NBC Universal.
I don't know how Walker stayed on TV so long, to be honest with you. He's so bad.
It's the reason why Trump is on the stage so long.
I guess you got a point there.
I don't know, man. But no, Olympus Has Fallen. I'm down for it. Or London Has Fallen. I'm down for it. Let's watch a crazy blood fest.
All right, you go have fun with that.
I'm going to skip it.
I'll read the book first.
Read the novelization.
Yeah, I'll read that.
Awesome. All right, that's going to do it for today's edition of Completely Unoriginal for Tony Zur and Craig.
Who?
For Tony Zur and
What's
Kurt
up, Craig?
Campbell. I'm thinking Craig Campbell, the singer. Tony Zur and Kurt Campbell. I'm Adam St. Paul. Until the next time.